You're not going to be able to hear me unless I actually turn my microphone on. Hi everyone, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and I am a nerdy flute player, which means I do covers of video game, TV, anime, and film music. And if all that it sounds interesting, there'll be a link above to all my cover music videos, as well as below you can find my music on all your favorite streaming services. I am also a gamer girl. You can find me streaming over on twitch.tv/KatieShesko or here on YouTube. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. I do a lot of things like Breath of the Wild bingos. I'm working on a playthrough of Witcher 3, as well as some other fun things. And with that, let's dive into today's video. This video came out in late November, and it has been requested several times since then, and it's probably because I did a reaction to, I guess let me introduce the video. I'm reacting to Dimash's Ikanaide, which I did a reaction to the original version of. I will link that above as well. So as soon as Dimash released his Japanese version, so many people have come and asked me to watch and react to it. So this is what we're doing today. I'm looking forward I reacted to Dimash's version, Autumn Strong, and I will leave that linked above. I watched his version of Autumn Strong for I Am Singer, which I believe was sung in Chinese. So then I heard the original Japanese, and now we're back to Dimash doing it in Japanese. So this is like Ikanaide Inception. So I'm really looking forward to hearing another version. It's a fantastic song. The story is a sad story, but yeah, let's dive into the video. How I typically do it is I will watch the video in full and I will give my initial comments and reactions over that, and then we'll deep dive. We'll do a really deep analysis at the end. Already disappointed. Why not have a flute? Okay, I'm a little disappointed already. I like the camera work. Very, very delicate. Very delicate. And how he's hitting those high notes with such delicacy is amazing. Very hard to do. Gorgeous. Just gorgeously done. And I like how they picked up the instrumentation a little bit here too. I think the camera could be a little less, though. I think it's taking away from the performance a bit. I just love this song. It's such a pretty song. Showing off his range and his operatic background. I'm just really trying to listen to the backing and ooh, interesting way to end. Overall, I really liked it. I think he had a lot of similarities to the Autumn Strong version that he did on I Am Singer. I definitely think he kind of mimicked a little bit of what Koji Tamaki did. He's the original composer of Ikanaide. So he definitely brought in like some of the elements that the original artist did and the performance that I watched, and then he also did some new stuff as well. So overall, really great performance. It was an interesting video because obviously it was done in studio, so sometimes like the things that you can do with video when you're like inside or on a much smaller stage than some of the other performances I've seen of Dimash, what you can do with the camera work is a little bit limited, and I think it was a little too much here. As someone who, I have a lot of music videos that I've done outside, I've done a couple inside as well, and I kind of redesigned my studio space. If you're new, you might notice that my background looks a little bit different than my past videos. But I redesigned my studio space because it's winter here, it's getting cold, so going outside to film is just not always feasible. So we kind of redesigned our studio space with the idea of possibly doing indoor videos in mind. I understand that like it's a little bit limiting, and I don't know much about the Tokyo Jazz Festival. I'm assuming it's like a festival that used to be held in person that was probably either partially virtual, which is what the Dimash performance was. So I understand that they probably wanted to do a little bit more with the video work as opposed to just a couple of like still-ish shots. I just think it was a little much. I think it really took away from the performance. It was a little, for me, distracting. So we'll get into that. But overall, what we're really here for is to hear Dimash sing, and I think that his performance was fantastic. So let's dive into it because I am really interested to really delving into it. Before we do that, I do need to plug my Patreon and my channel memberships. Because I watched the video in full, I don't pause it at all. I do tend to get copyright claimed, so that means I am not making money on these videos. So if you enjoy my reactions, please consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/KatieShesko or hit the join down below. Doing that really helps my channel. It supports me, and it supports me continuing making this content. You get things like early access to all of my videos, as my videos that are actually done early. Sometimes I admit my videos are coming down to the wire with getting posted, but any video that is done early, you have early access to that. You can get behind the scenes, you get my monthly updates, and you get priority requests as a channel member or as a patron for reactions. So if there's a reaction that you must have me do, I make sure that it gets done. Otherwise, these reactions kind of come as I can get them done. If you like this, please consider becoming a patron or clicking the join button. Lots of fun stuff there. Okay, now let's get into the analysis. So first off, right off the bat, a couple of things. I really like how Dimash is treating this as if he is on stage with, we're used to hearing, or all of the Dimash videos that I've seen has him on stage with live performers in the background. And I don't think I've seen anything from the studio from him yet. So right off the bat, I love that he is essentially treating this as if he is on stage, as if he's performing. Because like I said, I have not looked this up, but I'm assuming that this is kind of done as a virtual concert, a virtual set for the Tokyo Jazz Festival. So in order for it to kind of like take the place of actually being there live, he's kind of treating this as if it's a live performance. I like that. It's a great choice for this video. And I can see that I'm talking a little loud today. Anyway, so I really do like that it's, despite the fact that he is in studio with a microphone set up, he has music there, he's still really treating this as if it is a full like a full live performance, which I love. Great choice for this. I must say I'm disappointed that they changed the arrangement and it's a violin at the beginning and not a flute player. I have now heard it on flute, I've heard it on violin, and I've heard it on oboe. Koji Tamaki's was on oboe, Autumn Strong was on a flute, and here Ikanaide by Dimash is on a violin, and I must say I'm slightly disappointed. I don't think the violin captures quite the longing and the heartache at the beginning like the flute does. Oboe a little less than the flute, but I also say that as like if I didn't play flute, I'd probably play oboe. I love the way oboe sounds, but I really think that for this song it should have been flute, so I have to say minorly disappointed in the arrangement that the opening solo is not a flute, it's a violin in this arrangement. So okay, I'm off my soapbox as a flute player. That's my one critique of this arrangement. It really should have been flute. And if maybe, I know that trying to get flute sample instruments to sound good can be really tricky. So if you don't have an actual flute player, I think producing music, it's a little bit easier to get a violin to sound real for sample instruments. I don't know nothing about this backtrack, whether or not they had people, they had real musicians play these in, or if they're using sample instruments, or a little bit of both. Could be a little bit of both. It's a little bit harder to make a flute sound really good, I think, in my opinion. Again, I say this purely as a flute player, but I'm a little disappointed that it was a violin and not a flute for this. So other than that, let's keep going. So right off the bat, I like the backtracking just being like piano, guitar, and Dimash. I like that because as we know, it picks up. I know that it's coming, so I'm glad they kind of stuck with that as far as the arrangement went. The fact that he's like whisper singing this and it doesn't sound too whispery is just amazing breath control and just amazing control over his vocal cords. I know as a flute player trying to play really soft and high, like he's not singing super high, but he's definitely singing a little bit on the upper end of the vocal register. Playing high and singing high that softly is really difficult. I know it's something that I still work on today as a flute player, is making sure that those, pianissimo notes that aren't low, because the low register tends to be easier to keep soft, but when you get to the high register, it naturally wants to be louder. So getting that, like, not too loud, whispery is just, it takes so much work. It takes so much work, and it's done beautifully here. It gives that effect without it sounding, it doesn't sound forced. It doesn't sound overly airy. I'm bringing the slight operatic into it. So I like how he's like singing somewhat high, but we start to hear these hints of his operatic vocals. His operatic vocal has like a very distinct vibrato, and I really like it. And I like how it's not overly used. It's peppered in here and there, so it adds a nice color without it being like, I am singing like an opera singer. You know what I mean? It's just a nice little color, and it just, how it's lightly peppered in here and there, especially in these upper registers where he's not really singing operatic. You really hear his operatic background come in when he's a little bit more in the lower registers, more in his tenor bass register. But so like when he's in these upper registers, you just hear these hints, and I really like it. It's a nice effect. And seamless transition into this, again, breathy. And I like how every time, like when you have repeated phrases or you have repeated lyrics, you want to do something different, a little bit different every time, because that's what kind of gives the song some motion and it doesn't sound stale. And he's doing a really good job of just tweaking it, holding this syllable a little bit longer here, shortening it here. It's these little tweaks that are just like really good musicianship. And this was very reminiscent of Koji Tamaki. And I think this section definitely, for sure, is very reminiscent of Koji's performance that I saw. And again, I really liked that transition. It was a nice transition between like a very minimally orchestrated part to a more like, now we're getting the drum back in, and it's kind of slowly back in. The drum hasn't been in there yet. It's kind of slowly picking up now, and I really like it. Not loving the camera work here though. I think it's a bit much. It's taking away from the performance. And again, that vocal wiggle, I love those little vocal wiggles. They're so cool. They sound really good. Very seamless. I think Koji did it, but I'm like 99% certain he did it in the Autumn Strong version as well. I love those little vocal wiggles, and they're just so seamlessly done. It's very even, and yeah, it's just, it's very even, and I love it. I don't know. I geek out about stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, that sounds cool. And I love this register, and I like how it's a juxtaposition between like the very breathy, slightly higher register at the beginning, and now as it picked up, he kind of dropped down the register and it allowed it to sound a little bit more powerful without it being like too much. Like it was a nice transition of like minimal, whispery, slightly more, slightly lower, slightly more powerful. It's a nice transition, and it works well with the backtrack. Again, I think the camera's a bit too much here. Here you can... It's times like this you can really hear his opera background, which I really like. That's probably like my favorite vocal range of Dimash. It's just... I love a good tenor in vocals. I like a good tenor. It's... So this is like my favorite. It's fantastically done. And this is where you can really hear the power. I really liked how he dropped that note down. You kind of expected that note to go up or stay the same, but he dropped it down to match like the ah right here. And it's a nice choice. You weren't expecting it. I love when musicians have something that's slightly not expected. Doing more of these reactions, listening to a bunch of different music, and now hearing the same song essentially 3 times. It's nice when there's something that's a little bit different. And yeah, it was just, it's one note. You're like, Katie, why are you like spending so much time talking about one note? It's those little notes, those little details that really bring a song and an arrangement out. And there you go. This one note, I liked it. I was expecting it to go somewhere else, and it went down and it stayed the same, and it was unexpected. So yay, I liked it. Needs more flute in the backtracking, but I want to talk about this because if my memory serves me correct, that is the same vocal solo that he did in I Am Singer. So now we have something like as a direct comparison. His I Am Singer was, let me look it up. I believe the version that I reacted to was from 2018, and obviously this is from 2021. So we're talking about a difference of 3 years, which as much as Dimash has performed and I'm sure practiced, 3 years makes a big difference. We could talk a little bit about it. So we had a direct comparison of like, it's the same vocal, which I liked. Like, again, this is a different arrangement because there's no flute at the beginning. I'm going to keep harping on this because I'm still a little salty about it. But he still brought in his old performance, which is like a really nice nod to his longtime fans who've probably heard every single thing that he's done and has probably heard the same version several times between various different performances. So I like that it's kind of a nod to like where he got his beginnings, that particular arrangement. Here you can hear how much he's improved. I think in this version, he is a lot more restrained. And I say that as like, there's a lot more subtlety in his vocals. You can hear it when he's kind of like going between the different notes, and especially as he goes higher, there's a bit more restraint in it. I feel like he has a little bit more control over it, if that makes sense. Like, he's not quite as like loud. he has a little bit more nuance and his dynamics with this. He has a little bit more spaces between the vibrato and the non-vibrato. I feel like it's really hard to describe because I just feel like there's a lot more nuance in this particular performance as opposed to the one he did on the one that I reacted to from I Am Singer. It just shows that his growth, that even though he's playing the same thing, like he's bringing something new to it, and he's bringing a lot more nuance to this particular performance of it. And I really like that. And I really like to see when things like that happen, because it'd be really easy to just do it before, and where you're kind of doing like this show, like these show-offy things. Like this was not, and like this particular part is not in the original song. This is his arrangement to show off what he can do as a vocalist. And it's really easy to slack on that because it's not in the original, so no one's going to recognize it. It's yours. So it's easy to kind of fall back on what you've always done. So that's what good musicians do, is that even though they're singing something or playing something for the 100,000th time, you're always trying to push the bounds. You're always trying to push yourself musically. You're always trying to see, can I do this a little bit better? And I definitely think he did that here. And the fact that he goes just like from that really high note to down to this really powerful lower note, and like this last time kind of going through the chorus, or through the chorus, it's a lot. It's really powerful. But how he went from high to lower is just seamlessly, it's so seamlessly done. It's well done. And that's not easy to do when you're kind of going through these octave ranges very quickly. It is a different, at least for me as a flute player, it's a different embouchure, it's a different mindset, it's a different thing that I need to be aware of between when I play high and when I play low. So to be able to quickly go from high to low and make it sound really good is a challenge, and yeah, it's done beautifully. And there, it's that is kind of like his poppy side coming out a little bit. That just is very reminiscent of, like, I don't know, maybe the 90s is when I listened to a lot of pop in the 90s and the early 2000s. It's just reminiscent of that. And I like that. It's kind of blending these, like, this is a very, not traditional song, but like it's a very, I don't know how to describe the original song, because it's a pop ballad. There's not a whole lot of like flashiness to it, because the song content is a little bit more somber. It's a little bit more like reflective and contemplative and of longing. But Dimash kind of bringing in like these poppy elements of, and how he's doing the vocals. It's nice. It's a nice little blending. It works for this arrangement, I think. And it works for like his version of it. It's nice. I like it. I like when you kind of have, you're blending styles seamlessly. And here, like, you kind of expected the song for just a second. You think, okay, like, that's where the song ends. And it's a really interesting ending. But then he kind of goes on. And I like that they kind of allowed his breath to be there. Sometimes I edit my breaths out. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on the song, and it depends on what the character is I'm going for. But I like that they didn't hear. They didn't let it go completely silent. You kind of just hear him breathing. I really like that. I think that was a good choice for this arrangement and for this performance. It really worked. It kind of brought that live element back to what is obviously a recorded performance for this, but it made you feel like you're watching it live. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you would hear in a live show that you might not necessarily hear in a studio recording. I mean, unless you're going into your studio recording with like, this is a live recording, studio recordings tend to edit that kind of stuff out. So the fact that it's in here for this is just kind of giving you, again, that live feeling to kind of replicate the fact that he probably wanted to be there live and couldn't, or the whole festival itself was virtual this year. Again, I don't know. I really liked that touch. It's those little details that really add to the performance, to the song, to the recording, and all of that. Again, still think it should have been a flute, but I like this low humming too. And still playing to the camera, still playing as if it's a live performance. I really like that. Overall, again, the Dimash performance was really good. I missed the flute. I really think it could have benefited from a flute, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the Dimash performing was fantastic. Again, I think the camera work was a little bit much for my opinion for what this was. I think they could have toned it back a little bit. It was a little bit distracting watching it. I was really focused on what the camera was doing and kind of lost focus of Dimash's performance, which is not what you want in the camera. But overall, fantastic video. If I had to rank it, I think I liked Koji Tamaki. There's just something that the original composer, sometimes you can't beat it. And then I think I liked Autumn Strong a little bit better. And then this one. I don't know. I mean, they were all really good. They were all really good. So I'm sure I'm going to get feverish comments below. What out of, so I will, again, the other two reactions linked below if you haven't listened to those songs. Take a listen. Let me know, what is your favorite out of the three? Do you like Koji Tamaki's? Do you like Dimash's Autumn Strong? Or do you like Dimash's Ikanaide? I'm curious to know what you think. Personally, I think they're all fantastic performances. I think I like Koji just ekes it out just a little tiny bit. But again, it's kind of hard to top the original creator, especially in a song like this that was a little bit more personal. But overall, fantastic. Great song. I will never get tired of listening to this song. I really do enjoy this song as a whole. All three versions are fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed this reaction and analysis. It's fun to go back and listen to a new version of something that I've already listened to. It's fun to compare and contrast. If you like this kind of content, if you enjoy my reactions, please consider becoming a patron or a channel member. You can do it for as little as $2 a month. It really does a lot to support my channel and support my growth. Please leave me a comment if there's another reaction that you would like me to do. I'm starting to plan for January and February, so make sure you get your comments below and I will take them into consideration. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I know I did, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Take care now. I'll catch you next time. Bye.